there everyone, thanks again for tuning into Sims Workshop. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Alright, today we're going to be talking about These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This is a 1920s retelling of Romeo and Juliet set in Shanghai. Now, this is the second retelling of Romeo and Juliet that I read this year, and I have to say, I think I like this one a little bit more. Now, that's not to say I didn't like the other one. I did. But I think this one is better because you don't have to suspend your belief so much because it is grounded in realism in a way. And that's what I liked about it. Sorry about that pause. I'm dreadfully multitasking today. But anyway, that is really what I liked about this book. I really did enjoy the characterization. I really did enjoy the world building here. You think 1920s, you think, gangsters, you think flapper dresses, you think prohibition. But what I think is really interesting with this novel is it does take us out of the U.S. for this novel. It really does. And I do think that that's really cool. That we are taken to someplace much different. We're taken to Shanghai in this instance. I really do like that we're taken to Shanghai. There's such vibrancy and there's a lot of political upheaval in this novel because of the Communist Party, and then you have the gangsters here. Now, the gangstas, that's really cool. I think you have Juliet Kai. She's part of the Scarlet Gang. And then you have Roma Montagov. He is a Russian. And he's part of the White Flowers. They are opposing gangs. And yes, as you would imagine, they were once lovers. But what the story does, it does take the story of Romeo and Juliet, and it does tell it differently, which I appreciate. I like a story that does it is a retelling, yes, but it does take a different spin on things. They are already much older than your original Romeo and Juliet. They're about 4 years older. And they were already lovers. They were found out, and now they hate each other. Lots happening. I don't really want to spoil anything for you, but again, rival gangs, things did happen, as you would imagine, to drive a wedge between them. Completely understandable and completely relatable. Now, I'm already drawn in from the story because it is different. It already does have this different feel to it that I appreciate. And I do, if there's one thing I don't need in my life, I love retellings. Yes, but I like retellings that are different. I don't need the same story told again and again in the exact same way. I like things to be different. And that's what I got here. I got something different. And I like different. Now, that being said, this book didn't completely blow me away, and it does have fantasy. Don't think it is just a young adult retelling set in a different time period. There is fantasy in this story. and I like a good dose of fantasy. But the fantasy is there's this monster. It is infecting people with a madness, with like bugs. And it is, it's infecting them. And sorry. Multitasking. I hate multitasking. I'm so sorry. But it is infecting the madness, and it does drive Juliet and Roma back together because no one really wants to investigate. Like, they want to, but it's not on their priorities. It's not high on their list of priorities. So they just have to rely on one another to do this. And I think it's interesting. It is interesting to see them be pulled together. You do get to see the relationship between them explored. You do get to see who they were through glimpses of their memory versus who they are now, how different they are, how similar they are to the characters they are drawn from. And they aren't the only ones. You do have you have Rosalind, you have Mercutio, you have Tybalt, you have all these characters brought to life in this story, but they're done differently. And I appreciate, like I said, I do appreciate a story when it is done in a different manner. Again, I don't need the same story done 1,000 times. And I love the pacing for this story. I had to finish reading. I had to finish it because I needed to know what was going to happen next. I want to know this monster. It has a great opening chapter about the monster, and then going back and forth between Romeo and Juliet, but also giving perspective to their cousins, to Tybalt and Mercutio. You do get to see who they are. No, they aren't named Tybalt. You have Tyler, you have Marshall, you have Benedict. Rosalind is the same. You have Kathleen. There are a lot of voices to give the story a nice, well-rounded nature to lose the reader in. Now, what I also did appreciate is there are subtle for the storytelling, but very clear for the reader representation of the LGBTQ community. You do have a transgender character here, and you do have some homosexual characters in here as well. I think that's engaging. And I say subtle because, it is the 1920s. I think what Chloe did was really capture that time period very well with her descriptions and her narrative. I do think that she was able to capture that time period really well. And there are some, historically speaking, there are some well-known LGBTQ people from that time period in the 1920s who lived their life as freely as they wanted. But of course there is still that stigma around them, of course, especially with transgenders and homosexual characters. There is still a stigma. So I do appreciate Chloe's highlighting of this struggle that the LGBTQ community has faced with identity, with acceptance, with coming face to face with that stigma. I did appreciate that a lot regarding her storytelling. It is realistic. It does not neglect representation, and it does give these characters a voice. So, it was such a good story. I can't stress that enough. I really did think it was really engaging. I like this Romeo and Juliet retelling. I think it is my favorite so far. Like I said, I have read plenty in my lifetime, but I think this is probably going to be one of my favorites. I I got this book for free from the publisher. Thank you again for giving me a copy of this book. I really did appreciate it. But Simon & Schuster, thank you, Simon & Schuster, for giving me a free digital copy of this book. But again, it's a digital copy. They do come with expiration dates. So I had to have this book for my bookshelf. And I got it with my Book of the Month subscription. And you know what? I'm really hoping that they have book 2 and don't do what they did with the Harbinger series to me. So that I have even books. Because they are published in different formats. And it bugs me when I have different size books of the same series. But that says something. When I went out of my way to purchase this book, when I got it for free, I don't do that with a lot of books. I'll probably do it with a couple of must-haves that I think, oh my god, this was such a good book, I need to have it for my bookcase. I do it. It is not unheard of. But if I got a book for free, money's tight, and if I don't really need to have it on my bookshelf, then I don't buy it. But this was definitely a book that I had to buy. So happy I did. I kind of just scrapped the ebook copy and just finished reading it here because it's such a beautiful book as well. I love the detailing on the cover. I love how the pages are structured. I love the format. These are things that tickle my fancy because this is something I did study in college. I do have a degree in book design and editing, so this is something that I definitely look for when I pick up a book. Is it aesthetically pleasing inside and out? This one is, yes, definitely. So this was These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I'm going to go ahead and give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Yes, it is one of my favorite retellings, but it did not blow me away. And I save my 5 stars for stories that really just blow me away or just leave me feeling super ecstatic and happy. I love this book, yes. And it was almost there, but just not quite. I like to reserve my 5 stars, so sue me. But yeah, definitely 4.5 out of 5 stars. I recommend purchasing the book off of bookshop.org. Oh goodness, pardon me. I recommend purchasing off bookshop.org. If money's tight, which I get it. Trust me. Check out the book from your local library. And I hope you all will continue to support me by liking this podcast and subscribing to my channel. And sharing it with all your book-loving friends. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And as always, happy reading.